Welcome, everybody. I see the numbers are increasing by the second. We shall begin in the next 2 minutes or so. Thank you for being here on time. I invite us to settle in, and in the next 2 minutes, we shall begin our webinar. Thank you for being here on time. I see we're already at 35. Let's give people a few seconds to join. I see some familiar names and some new names in the chat. As we begin, I invite you to please introduce yourself, the organization you work for, and which country you're based in. Let us interact in the chat as we settle in and begin today's webinar on teacher well-being. So thank you all for being here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from different parts of the world. It is indeed a real pleasure for me to welcome you to today's webinar, Amplifying the Voices of Teachers in Crisis Contexts and Advancing Policy for Teacher Wellbeing and Professional Development. My name is Esther Mbao. I'm the PSS SEL coordinator at INI, and I'm the host for today's webinar. As we begin today, I want to take a moment to center us on something quite simple yet overlooked. In every education response, especially in times of crisis, teachers are at the heart of it. And you will see automatically, you don't need to ask a teacher to come in and respond in times of crisis. They actually come and ask, what can I do? They're the ones holding classrooms together when systems are disrupted. They're the ones supporting learners, not just academically, but emotionally and psychologically. And very often, they're doing this while navigating their own stress, uncertainty, and most times with limited support. Yet, despite this central role, teachers' voices, experiences, and well-being are not always meaningfully reflected in the policies, systems, and programs designed to support them. And this is where today's conversation becomes important. This session invites us to move beyond recognizing teachers as implementers and instead engage with them as partners, as professionals, and as individuals whose well-being directly shapes the quality of education. Over the next 90 minutes, we'll explore both the challenges and opportunities in strengthening teacher support in crisis contexts. We will hear from global perspectives, learn from regional teachers initiative for Africa, and engage with a case study from northern Nigeria that brings those ideas into practice. Importantly, we will also hear from those working closest to the reality on the ground, a teacher herself. As we move into the session, I encourage you to listen with two things in mind. First, what does meaningful support for teachers actually look like in your context? And 2nd, how can we ensure that teachers are not only supported, but are also hard. With that, I will introduce our speakers shortly that will be speaking to us today and will make this conversation meaningful and important for all of us. Please note, as the presenters are sharing their slides and their presentation, you can post your question at any point in time. And if you have a specific question for a specific presenter, please note their name in the Q&A. Also, please continue to introduce yourself, your organization, and the country you're based in. With that said, let's begin this powerful webinar today. And so, as you are aware, we will be having different speakers from different organizations. And so they will be amplifying the voices of teachers in crisis contexts. And this is about advancing policy for teacher well-being and their professional development. We have done the introduction, and I'll continue to do it as I introduce the next speaker. We'll look at regional teachers initiatives for Africa, RTIA, strengthening education in crisis-affected areas in northern Nigeria, teachers' professional development and well-being, system-level support, and working with local authorities. And we shall listen to a teacher perspective, and then we shall conclude and answer the questions we are able to. As you can see, it's an enriching webinar that looks at teacher well-being holistically. In this panel, we have Thomas Poirier, who is the team leader of the Facility Regional Teachers Initiative of Africa. Previously, he was in charge of technical cooperation at the Africa office of the International Institute for Educational Planning. He also worked for 7 years at the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He holds a doctoral in education. We also have Emmanuel Maurin, who is the grant officer responsible for the Teachers in Crisis Context calls for proposal under the RTIA facility. Previously, she was head of health and solidarity at Solidarité CEDA, where she managed calls for proposals and developed partnerships with funded NGOs at international and French levels. She also worked at the Expertise France for 6 years as a project manager. Then we will also have Toby Ransomed, who is an education and development practitioner with experience in program design, policy engagement, and field implementation in Nigeria. She works with Plan International Nigeria on inclusive education and child protection initiatives, supporting out-of-school children and marginalized communities in fragile and conflict-affected settings. Her work includes accelerated learning, safe schools, teacher development, and engagement with government stakeholders. Lastly, but not the least, and also we'll have the teacher, is Christian Luca, who is a dedicated humanitarian professional with over 20 years of experience in education, mental health and psychosocial support, and child protection, mainstreaming in emergency and development settings across various countries. He began his career focusing on education for individuals with special needs before transitioning into the humanitarian sector. As you can see, I have a well-knowledgeable, well-experienced panel of speakers. And looking no further, I now invite Thomas to kick us off with the opening remarks. Thomas, over to you.
Thank you very much. And of course, very happy to be with you and to see many people connected to this webinar. So I think, of course, Plan International and INE for this opportunity. So I just want to say some few words about the Regional Teacher Initiative for Africa, and in particular, the facility, before giving the floor to my colleague, Emmanuel. So the RTIA, the Regional Teachers Initiative for Africa, is a global gateway flagship funded by the European Commission. It is, in a way, the European Union's a response to the summit for the transformation of education held in New York in September 2022. The RTIA aims to support African countries to improve the education and training of teachers and to make sure that their schools have enough qualified teachers. And this program, of course, is in line with the SDGs and in particular SDG 4. So the European Commission has therefore developed this program, which is structured around four main areas. The first of all is to provide technical assistance for countries and to support their teacher policies. This is a demand-driven technical assistance. Countries, Ministry of Education make a request and on the basis of an action plan. The program finances the national or international expertise. The second big line is to build a research partnership, regional, within Africa, but also between Africa and Europe. And one of the aims is to integrate research findings into education policies. The third work stream of the RTIA is to strengthen regional knowledge sharing, advocacy, coordination, and frameworks. There we will focus on teacher professional standards, qualification frameworks for teachers, digital competencies for teachers, and so on. And the last big work stream is to test and scale effective solutions for teachers. And there we will focus on selected priorities. And these priorities are gender responsive pedagogy, pedagogy in general, but also green and digital skills. And the facility will have, of course, a specific attention on fragile context and crisis context. So the RTIA is a European investment, and all sub-Saharan Africa are eligible. And it is implemented by UNESCO, African Union, and 3 European Union member states, Finland, Belgium, and France. So next slide, please. Oh, okay, so thank you very much. I'm just focusing on the facility from the RTIA very quickly, because within the RTIA, the facility is made up, as mentioned, by 3 European Union member states and 4, in fact, because Estonia has just joined the facility. So France, Belgium, and Finland, and Estonia. And the implementation of the facility is based on several principles that we try to put forward. The first is complementarity. Our mechanisms must fit in with existing tools and instruments. And the aim, of course, is to create synergies with what already being done in the countries concerned. The second major principle is to work on demand, meaning according to the needs of partner countries. And the third principle is to promote national dialogue and regional frameworks. And the facility is a 2-3 years implementation and is a 246 million investment. And the facility implements 3 components, which we call windows. So next slide, please. And the last one for me. So the first window of the facility focuses on teacher governance and policy and consists on demand-driven technical assistance, as I previously mentioned. So the facility finances national or international expertise to implement an action plan with the Ministry of Education. The window 2 of the facility focuses on teacher in and pre-service training and professional development. And this window consists of calls for proposals, call for projects. And the objective is to test and scale up project based on several teams. And as I've already said, one focus is also on crisis situations, as you know. So I prefer to stop here for this window because my colleague Emmanuel will develop, of course, this window. And last but not least, window 3 of the facility will focus on research and knowledge production on teacher issues. And thanks to a call for projects, the facility is supporting a research project between European and African universities and or research institutes. And the aim is to ensure that the results of the research can be integrated into public education policies and teacher training practices. So thank you very much. It's in a nutshell, the RTIA and of course the facility. So now I give the floor to my colleague Emmanuel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas, for the introduction. I will take it from your last slide, actually, where you can see how the call for proposal for support teachers in crisis context is embedded in RTIA's window 2. Next slide, we show how we are working toward testing and scaling approaches for teacher training and professional development, specifically for this call in a crisis-affected context. I will take the opportunity of this event to inform you that the RTIA will be launching its next calls for proposals by the end of the year. So we will be launching 3 new calls, one for innovation, a second one for the RTIA, one for the teacher in crisis context project, second one as well, and a research call will be launched as well. So it's the renewal of the current calls for proposal. So the first teacher in crisis context call that you will see in the next slide is managed specifically by Expertise France and was launched in June 2024. It was open to NGOs only in 21 countries. The main objective is aiming at supporting teachers' work and improve the educational framework for pre-primary, primary, and lower secondary education in crisis-affected settings, whether by conflicts or natural disasters. To achieve this, we defined 2 axes. First one is addressing teacher shortages through improved policy and their implementation for recruitment, onboarding, and career pathways. And second axe is about holistical professional development, tackling both pre-service and in-service teacher training, integrating teacher well-being, and providing emotional and psychosocial support. Currently, the call for proposal teacher in crisis context is supporting 6 projects that you will see in the next slide. 6 projects in 6 countries. Among those, Plan International is implementing in Nigeria the project that will be introduced and discussed next, focused on Plan's approach to improve teacher professional development and well-being. On this, I will leave the floor to our partner, Toby. Over to you.
Sorry, Toby, you are unmuted.
Okay, apologies. Please, can you confirm that you can hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
I thank you very much, and thank you, Emmanuel and Thomas, for the background provided. And I'll be looking at sharing a bit about the project implemented in Northeast Nigeria. Next slide, please. The main goal of this project is to strengthen education in crisis-affected areas of northern Nigeria. specifically Adamawa and Sokoto states, by addressing teacher shortages, improving professional development, and supporting teachers' well-being so that motivated, well-equipped teachers can better deliver quality learning and improve educational outcomes for girls. We're implementing across 30 schools in Nigeria, in Sokoto and Adamawa, specifically across 6 local governments. And we've reached about 2,800 teachers across these locations. We're implementing across 3 specific objectives. Objective 1 and 3 looks at the advocacy component of this project, where we're working with community-based strategies and structures to enhance strategies that foster teacher integration and retention. And then objective 3 looks at how we create supportive environment and strengthen policies that promote teacher onboarding, retention, and career development. For objective 2, where we implement activities and build evidence that build into the advocacy work that we do, we're particularly looking at strengthening and supporting teachers' professional development and well-being. I'll hand over to Kristen right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm Christian De Luca from Plan Ireland, and I am the Education in Emergency and Psychosocial Support Advisor. And we are implementing this project in partnership with the Plan Nigeria, as was mentioned, funded by the RTIA. Okay, so as was mentioned by our colleagues, we are actually working under the wind of two, and which is actually improve the quality of teachers learning in crisis affected areas. So we wanted to share an example of design and resources that are actually contextualized and applied in the local context. That is to say, it is a local project, it is a local implementation, but with global lens. And indeed, when it comes to teachers' professional development and well-being, we do refer to 2 main frameworks. One is the INI Teachers Wellbeing Guidance Note organizational framework, and the other one is the conceptual framework for teachers' well-being in low resource, crisis and conflict affected context. So in our approach, again, referring to the Teachers Wellbeing Guidance Note, we indeed consider the 3 dimensions, which is actually the local, the national, and the global dimension, especially in a country like Nigeria, that is a big country divided per states. And when it comes to this, we apply the let's say the main principles of the Teachers Wellbeing Guidance Note that stand for providing MHPSS for teachers, building their well-being skills. And I will stress a little bit more about the fact that we are building the skills. We are not only providing the well-being. We create a welcoming and enabling environment which is professionally safe and support the professional development, and we enhance the voice and self-agency of the teachers and the leadership. That's why today we have also invited one of the voice from the field, one of our fellow colleagues from one school where where we are actually working. In terms of well-being, we also recognize the fact that when it comes to well-being, it is important to interlink the well-being with the professional development. If you look at the well-being construct of the teachers, the conceptual framework in this graphic that you have here, the teachers' well-being construct stand for teacher self-efficacy, job and stress and burnout, job satisfaction, and social and emotional competence. When it comes to the development, professional development aspect, we do refer to the job satisfaction and teacher self-efficacy. When a teacher in crisis context is able to function as a teacher only looking at the professional aspect, we know that we are also improving their capacity to improve their well-being. Because if you feel satisfied at work, if you feel that you can meet the demand of the students that you are supporting, you are also indirectly improving your well-being. But this is also coupled with additional well-being support that we are providing. We have designed a specific 5 days coaching workshop that it is only the beginning, and then it continues through ongoing on the job coaching that in fact start from a reflection around these principles that I am mentioning here. Next, please. As I said, there are in this package and approach and implementation, there are two main streams. One is the professional development, and another one is the well-being. For what concerns the professional development, everything anchored around the peer coaching for teachers in crisis context, the TIC package that is one of the INE resources that we are using, and we use it in order to keep the school practice, the community of practice in school going. So we do implement the teachers' learning cycles. We do coach the teachers in implementing coaching techniques between themselves through peer-to-peer coaching. We use the constructive feedback. We use the reflective questioning so that they will learn. And the way how this is implemented, it is through the teachers' learning cycles that are actually part of the school routine, at least in the schools where we are working. And the teachers are actually creating knowledge. They are not only receiving knowledge, but they are actually applying the skills of the capacity development that they receive throughout peer coaching and throughout on-job coaching that is being provided by our team working in school. For what concerns the improvement in terms of classroom management, we are using our gender responsive pedagogy teachers training. That is a manual that supports teachers in doing a lesson planning, abiding by gender responsive and gender inclusive standards. That includes positive disciplines. That includes the way how we can make the learning being more effective. In fact, according to our observation on the ground, many teachers are reporting that there is a shift, that there is a change. Here you can see there is a quote from one of the teacher who is actually actively attending the teachers' learning cycle, and they said that we manage to approach in issues and challenges that we are facing in school, like for instance, large class sizes. During the learning cycle, we learn from each other. My colleagues helped me understand how to use the group work better. The immediate impact is that the children are talking more and they are asking more questions. So this is also as an effect of the gender responsive pedagogy that we are applying in classroom. And something that they said that is really important for us and is a benchmark for us. They said, I feel like I'm a part of a team, not just a teacher in isolation. Teachers in crisis contexts are facing the greatest challenge that we have in the field. They are part of the crisis in situations where schools are being attacked, bombed, and there are natural disasters. They are also the first responders. They don't have to work in isolation. They have to work as a team. They have to work as a school community. And the way how this is happening is actually applying the techniques that I was just mentioning. Next, please. Now, in terms of well-being, as I said, it's not only about providing well-being. It is not only about providing a one-off event, but it's about implementing and setting up a continuous process that is implemented in schools and in classroom. There are three main steps that we follow for this routine to get started. The first one is to measure and monitor the well-being level and the capacity of the teachers to function. And this is done through using a specific tool that is called is called the PsychoLoops, Psychological Outcomes Profile. Now, the name, it sounds like something very difficult or clinical, but it is a very simple tool that supports guided self-reflection about what are the stressors and in which extent they are affecting teachers' capacity to function, and they are being implemented with peer-to-peer techniques. There is a buddy system, and these routines are being implemented between teachers who are actually working together on daily basis. After that, we build the well-being skills. As I said, we are not only providing well-being, we are building the skills for the well-being to replicate itself. And there are two resources that we are using for the WHO. One is the Self-Help Plus, a group-based stress management course for adults, where we take the techniques of the psychological first aid. Teachers learn how to listen from each other. They learn how to actually speak with a person or a colleague that is facing stress. And this is also applied in the way how they speak with children. And then we are using doing what matters in times of stress. That is actually a 5 session manual that is actually part of the routine that are being implemented in school. That is to say, they are not only receiving it one time, but they rotate implementing the 5 sessions in school through peer-to-peer well-being techniques. So measurement, building the well-being skills, and also establishing a routine for a continuous process that is likely being sustainable in the long run. I was lately in Nigeria next week, and I was talking to the school principals and teachers, and they were reporting me that they are now speaking about stress. We are challenging the stress. We are no longer accepting the stress as a fact. We are actually trying to challenge the stress. It is a kind of change in the mindset. Again, we raise awareness. We use a preventative psychosocial support. It is not a clinical approach. We build the skills. We change the mindset in the sense that we are challenging the stress. We establish the routine, and then we collect evidence for policy change. And indeed, back on policy change, in the next slide, I will show you some impact that we have collected during the implementation. When the project started, we have collected the baseline through an external consultant, and it found that 40% of the teachers were experiencing elevated level of stress, yet fewer than 13% self-identified as highly stressed. So basically, according to focus group that were implemented by the team, by the consultant, it found that the chronic stress may have become normalized. And that's why we want to see a change in the mindset. We don't want to normalize the stress. We want to challenge the stress. We don't want that the teachers are accepting the stress as it is. They need to start challenging the stress and trying to actually overcome difficult situations. In order to collect some additional evidence, in January, we have implemented an after-action review by collecting both qualitative and quantitative data. And it found that 90% of the teachers agreed that peer-to-peer well-being routines supported the stress awareness and self-reflection. And this is why we said that we need to provide the tools easy to use, user-friendly, so that they can assess their stress level without needing a specialized approach, because it's not always available. 96% agreed that the sessions help them to reduce the stress level. And overall, through focus group and qualitative data analysis, it found that the data of the after-action review clearly show that the well-being practices helped create a more caring and collaborative working environment where teachers felt encouraged to check one another and offer support. And again, this is something that I have seen. It was overwhelming to see directly in the field how many teachers were telling us we are using the PsychoLoops, that at the beginning we said, well, maybe it might take some time for the PsychoLoops to be let's say absorbed by the schools, but they found it so useful that in fact they are using it through this buddy system. I forgot to mention that the cascading system of the coaching model, it goes through working with the Ministry of Education master trainers who are actually cascading the capacity building in the schools, creating this coaching unit that keep replicating the model throughout the school year. One of the master trainers who was exposed to the sessions during the workshop that plan said that being exposed to the doing what matters in times of stress supported me in being able to reduce my stress level and improve my well-being. So this is again quotes that comes from teachers, and we have a lot of data, qualitative and quantitative, showing that this model is able to create the base for system really seriously approaching the issue of stress in school. I pause it here. Indeed, if there will be questions at the end, we can respond. And I leave the floor again to Toby, who will be speaking about the system level support. Thank you,
Yeah.
and over.
Thank you, Kristen. So basically from the work that we do on Objective 2 with the teachers, we've been able to build evidence to basically engage with the system. So high-level advocacy visits to ministries of education and state houses of assembly, engagements. We've also had engagements led by the National Union of Teachers State Secretary with support from TRCN, basically advocating for the rights of teachers, advocating for more female representation, right? And with support from Plan International, Nigerian Union of Teachers, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, CSOs and FAWE, they've led a high-level advocacy engagement with key education authorities in Sokoto and Adama. The engagement strengthened education policies, professional standards, and classroom realities across state and basic education institutions. And this is all from evidence that we've been able to gather from the work that we are doing with the teachers across both states. Also, another key thing that we have done is to work with, use the avenue of World Teachers Day as a platform, public platform to amplify messages on teacher well-being, onboarding, retention, and career pathways. These are all important for teachers' retention in the workforce. Next slide, please. Yes, another thing that we have done is working closely with TRCN to strengthen teacher standards through the professional qualifying exam, PQE reform in Nigeria. A short insight into this is that prior to now, the professional qualifying examination necessitated that teachers would have to sit for examination in 25 subjects in order for them to be qualified teachers. But then the new TRCN ES came up with a reform that involved only sitting on 5 key subjects, such as safeguarding, digital literacy, numeracy, and literacy to support the teachers. And Plan International, through funding from RTI, we've been able to support TRCN to implement this particular reform. It is a strategic collaboration with TRCN, and basically we have, through this collaboration, what we see is advancing systemic education reform and reinforcing its commitment to quality, inclusive education systems that work for every child, especially girls. The competency-based national framework or reform complements teachers' training project that we are currently implementing and aligning classroom-level professional development with updated national standards for teacher competence assessment and licensing. And what we hope to see is support teachers in this state and even across other states, see them, support them in ensuring that they sit for these qualifying exams, get certified, and at the end of the day, it also contributes to the improvement of learning outcomes in the classroom. Specifically, it isn't just about implementing projects, that are devolve or devoid of any connection with national framework. What we see or what we're doing here is ensuring coherence, right? Ensuring a coherent national framework that strengthens consistency, quality assurance, and long-term sustainability of teacher development outcomes in Nigeria. Right now, we'll be hearing from one of the teachers that have benefited from this intervention, Mark Mokapakade. Please forgive me if I've not pronounced it properly, but I hand over to you right now so that we can hear from you. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Makapwa Kage, a teacher under Post-Primary School Management Board, Adamawa State, teaching with Best Center, Numan. I'm a participant of the program brought to us by Plan International. I want to first of all appreciate Plan International for bringing this training for us. Definitely, this training is a blessing and a plus to us, the teachers in Adamawa State, because it deals with the teacher professional development and also it deals with the teacher's well-being. Initially, we see people coming with different programs, trainings, whereby the child is the center. But this very one comes with the teacher-centeredness, and we are very grateful having it within our state. We have witnessed and recorded great increase in the teacher development in our state. We have so many advantages. I personally I participated and I have benefited much from it. Regarding the teacher development, professional development, we looked at the TLC, whereby we teachers sit down together, have what we call the peer-to-peer coaching classes. We sit down, TLC stands for Teacher Learning Circle. Now we come together as teachers, sit down together, iron out things that we need to iron out as teachers. Now the first thing we do in Teacher Learning Circle, which is TLC, is the celebration of success. Now I'm explaining based on, let's say, the second TLC, not the first TLC. Now the second TLC, we celebrate success that we've recorded because of our sitting in the TLC. Now, the second thing we do is the sharing of challenges. Now we share our challenges as members of TLC. What are the challenges we have as teachers? Now the third thing is the brainstorming on the problems we had. Now in this brainstorming, we bring ideas together. We look at each teacher's problem. We bring ideas together. We see how we can help that teacher come out of that very problem he may be having. The problem may be from teacher to teacher, teacher to students, and some difficulties on the profession. Let's talk about the issue of lesson plan. There are some people in my very school, there are some people that had issues with the lesson plan. But because of TLC, we sat down together during the brainstorming. They come up and express their problems, that these are our problems. And then we looked into it. We designed a day whereby we sit down and teach ourselves how to write a perfect lesson plan and how to execute it. And also, we also have challenges whereby a teacher will be having challenge with a student in the class, and the teacher may have explored the possible ways they can kind of tackle that issue, but nothing is happening. They bring it up in the TLC. We sit down there, we brainstorm, and we give ideas on what to do so that we can tackle these very issues. And we see that it is becoming a success. So this very success, we celebrate them at the first stage of the next TLC. Now, in my very school, we had a teacher who had a problem. That problem is marital problem. So he comes to school, sit down alone, don't talk to anybody. When we're discussing the staff room, he don't contribute. And then going to class also is a problem to him. He wasn't focusing. And when he goes to class, it's like there's this issue of transfer of aggression in him, because issues that he don't supposed to react to from the students, you see him overreacting. Now, as TLC or peer-to-peer coaching, I personally called him, sat down with him. There's this very topic we discussed, which is supportive communication. Under these principles of supportive communication, we have what we call the active listening. I gave him time and listened to his problem actively. Also, we have what we call the two-way communication, whereby you don't dominate. I allow him talk. After he talk, then we have the constructive feedback, and I just put him through, counsel him, and say, this problem, this is the way you go about it. It's a marital issue. And after that sitting, he went back to the next PLC and celebrated the success. And this is one of the benefits.
The connection is not so good.
The PLC. We explain, we go into the real pedagogy, whereby we look at these theories, the method, the strategies we need to put in place in order to impact knowledge to our students perfectly. We look at also the methodology, the use of that pedagogical practice, so that the learning teaching will be very effective. We look at how the teacher will implement and those pedagogical practices and the knowledge, so that we will have effective learning. And under that, we look at also what the teacher learns, the student learns, how he learns, how he responds to teaching from the teachers and the rest of them. These are part of the things we benefited. Also, I personally want to share a scenario that we benefited from because of the Plan International training. Plan International training came to us focusing on the teacher professional development and the teacher well-being. We know very well that teachers are a kind of people that are not regarded in the society. We have financial issues as teachers. We have the insecurity issue as teachers also. So during the training, under the topic of the teacher well-being, we come up with how we as teachers will sit down together and tackle our financial issues. Now from there, after the first after the first training, we decided to collect money. We sat down as teachers. We collect money monthly. After payment of salary, every teacher comes with something and drop in the welfare. Now, this very money, which is the welfare scheme project of the school, we keep it for taking care of ourselves as teachers. We use this money whenever a teacher is sick. We use part of it to help the teacher. Then also, when the teacher is having some financial issues, we use the welfare money to take care of them. Then we also have what we call the staff bank. It's all these two things comes after the first training of Plan International. We have what we call the staff bank, where we collect money together as staff, put the money into business, and have something coming out of it. Now, from this money, we use it at the end of the year, we share it among ourselves, and everybody solve their personal problems with the money. Also, we have one important one that we call the finishing strong. Finishing strong is a dream that comes after the first training also. Now, this finishing strong is a kind of cooperative whereby we collect money, but we don't share annually. The staff bank we share after every year, at the end of the year, but finishing strong we share. We don't share finishing strong. We share finishing strong after retirement. So when you retire, we collect the whole money you've contributed, the interest gained from your own money, then we give it to you so that you plan your life after retirement in a very perfect way. Not as others are retiring tattered, but we retire strong. That's why we call it the finishing strong. So all this development comes after the first training of a Plan International. Then during the second training of Plan International, we also had the training on topics like the gender responsive schools. We went back after the training. We made sure that the school is gender responsive. The school is tackling the male and the female students' issues or problems. Initially, in my very school, we had toilets for male students, the female students toilets were something else. But after the first one, a second training, we went back, we put hands together, we made sure that the female students have their toilets separate, far away from the male students' toilet. Now we see that the students gather together, learn together, and enjoy the learning environment together. Initially, before the second training, we don't have what we call sport activities for female students. Now this is taking us to that issue of gender, whereby we see gender as social roles given to male or student, male or female by the society or by somehow by the religion. Sex on its own is universal. It's also biological. It cannot change, but gender can change. Now, in my school, before the second training, we look at girls as not fit for sporting activities. But after the second training, we involve the girls child into the sporting activities. We made sure they partake and they were very, very happy because of this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mwakapoe Ade. We now get to a session of questions and answer before we get into the closing remarks. And I'll start with Emmanuel because one of the very first questions I saw was about the call for proposals. Maybe you can talk briefly about it. Someone said they didn't get the dates, and maybe how can they get more information when you're sending it out later this year?
Yes, of course. Thank you for the questions. Actually, we are currently working in designing the next call for proposal. Just to give a little recap, there will be three. It is actually a second round of calls for proposals. The first one is about innovation in educational approaches. The second one is the teacher in crisis context, and that's the one managed by Expertise France. And the third one is about research on professional development and teacher well-being. All three of them will be launched by the end of the year, but we don't know yet which will be the precise dates. We will inform our network. We will get the information through all channels that we already have, social media, also through our current partners. So the information will be widely shared.
Okay, thank you, Emmanuel. I could also publicly say if you share the information with me, we'll be able to send it out to all the INI members as well.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to the Q&A. There's quite a bit of questions in terms of peer-to-peer support. How can it be sustained in schools without external facilitation? Which manual was used in the well-being sessions? So I'll allow Christian to come in and talk a bit more about the questions he has responded to by typing, but also if you'd want to emphasize anything verbally. Christian, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Esther. I think I have responded to all of them, but while responding, I no longer see them. So I hope that my response was accepted as a exhaustive or good one. But indeed, so there were questions about how can we, because somebody was saying that we talk a lot about well-being but how can we really make it effective and user friendly, and how can a system absorb it or not? You know, when we work in informal setting and in a crisis context, we always have a challenge of resources. That's something that we really acknowledge is there. No, there is no system that is going to embark on something that for which they don't have resources to do. That's why it's important that we work at different level, and this is the way how also the facility is designed, the RTIA facility, that there is a level of collecting evidence, there is a level of advocacy, and that is usually done through implementation, and then there is a level of working with systems so that they can institutionalize and change behavior. When we say institutionalize, it means that they absorb a behavior or a practice and they make it part of their planning. It's a big achievement, institutionalization. But I believe that the key winning point is that we implement simple systems, because if we are going in a low resource country and we go there with wanting to implement a clinical approach on a large scale, you will never achieve it. But if you work on preventative PSS, preventative well-being, and you set up simple approaches that are actually contextualized. If you see the resources that we have designed, the first time you read it, you say, also my colleagues, they said, wow, this is a very big thing to do. Yeah, but of course, it's a kind of archaeological job. We start from the base, and then even if after 1 year we see only the base and the first wall, and without rooftop, it's already something that we have done. So step by step, implementing very simple systems that are low cost and can be implemented with low resource approaches. That's why we speak about contextualization. Contextualization means that and in fact, now we are working with the INE PSS cell working group that I'm also member of it. We are working, and Esther, you know, on the refinement and the revision of the PSS cell toolbox, online toolbox, and there is a strong part that is about contextualization. Contextualizing doesn't mean that you just translate with the local language. Contextualize means that you get the standard and you make it user friendly for the resources that are available in that context. For me, this is the key. Then, of course, nothing is achieved with one project or one intervention. It should be a routine, and indeed, it should be a work that is done through and with the systems. If we are speaking about formal settings, formal workspace. I don't know if there are any other
questions. I'll keep checking, but Boran says, thank you, Christian, for your answers and sharing practical insights. There was also an appreciation for the teacher. Thank you, Mwakapwa. The program has led to some amazing improvement for teachers in your school. This is very inspiring. That's just part of the feedback that is on the chat. I see a question. How can the good model of the teacher well-being be scaled up? The experience of the teacher is based on planned training with very little or no mention of the Ministry of Education involvement. I think this is where I will ask Toby maybe to speak a bit more about the involvement of the Ministry of Education in Nigeria and how did they come in to support this program. Toby, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So basically from the design of the intervention to also the adaptation of the training manuals that we are using, we're working closely with the master trainers that are from government agencies and ministries. So the master trainers are not plant staff. They are actually either lecturers or directors from State Universal Basic Education Board or Ministries of Education and the likes of it. And then we also ensure that part of these trainings We have key representatives from the local government education authorities because we believe in passing the knowledge. So we're growing the knowledge bank and also the experience bank within the education sector. To mention that these teachers are actually from government funded schools, they're from public schools. As such, we're not recruiting any teachers, we're working with teachers within the sector, within the system, and they're able to continue the practices that they have learned. A key component for us is also picking up or getting evidence from these interventions and using them as advocacy tools. I mentioned earlier working with the National Union of Teachers, so for them to advocate for the rights of the teachers, identifying good practices and ensuring that they are being carried along and made part of state policies and frameworks for teachers. So it's a continuous cycle for us from the design of the intervention to implementation and also to advocacy level where we carry every government partner along or the relevant government partners along. Thank you and over.
Christian, do you want to add or?
No, I think that Toby was the best place to respond to this.
I thought
No,
so
it's
too.
fine. Yes, yes.
Thank you. And actually, as Toby is winding up the question, I see someone saying they're a lecturer with the Federal College of Education, Yola, Nigeria, a master trainer with Plan International Nigeria. How much more evidence do we need that you're actually using the resources that are within you and within the government to implement the program as it's being rolled out? I see there's another open question. I think it would be very much supportive if it is to organize for global humanitarian crisis, another master trainer level event. I don't know if you understand that question, Christian or Toby.
I think the question that it's in the Q&A, I think that it's much more a request to organize something related to the global humanitarian crisis for master trainers. It sounds like a request, Mohammed. I don't know if you feel that we didn't respond, you can specify a little bit better, please.
Okay. I see a lot of good feedback in the chat. I think we can start with the closing remarks if there are no other questions. People just giving good feedback. I don't know if we answered this. How can the good model of teacher well-being be scaled up? Oh yeah, that one we did. And that's the one we invited Toby to talk about. So maybe I'll invite, we'll start again from the top. Thomas, we can give you some time to give your closing remarks, and then we can continue to Emanuela and the rest of the presenters.
Well, thank you very much. Very quickly, because I'm really impressed on what Plan is implementing. And as you said, I think, inspiring. So thank you very much. I think in the international situations, I think it's really interesting to see this type of projects and the results you achieved. And for us, for the RTIA, of course, it's really important and really important. And I would like just to insist that really important, yes, to invest in education and in particular in crisis situations. We know the investment in education and in particular the international investment in crisis situations. It's really difficult for a lot of NGOs, I think, or a lot of organizations. But from our side, yes, we think that's once again very important to support this program and this kind of projects such as Plan International, and that's why we will renew our call for proposal by the end of the year. So thank you very much for this opportunity to be with you today, and see you very soon, I think. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Emmanuel?
Yeah, Thank you, Esther. I would like to actually thank the PSS SEL working group of the INE to make this event happen. It is actually a great opportunity for us to show what the RTRA can support and to showcase our partner work, because we think that they are doing great and actually scalable work in different countries, different areas, different settings. And we actually see this webinar maybe as a first one of a series that we could think of to also highlight the work of other partners within our call for proposals. And we are looking forward to see what will be the final results of the project, and also to be able to fund and support other initiatives from those very capable and able NGO partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel. Christian, your closing remarks before we go to Toby.
Yes, I think just thank you, Esther. I would like to thanks all the participants for being here today, and also for the very valuable questions that they asked, because it allowed us to clarify a little bit more about our approach. Indeed, the INE and the PSS Cell Working Group, always a pleasure working together, and more to come, because we are working also together on the PSS Cell Working Group. My colleagues from Plan Nigeria, because for all the job that they are doing, the incredible coordination with the local authorities, and also the other projects that they are implementing, like the accelerated education program, that it's a huge program that is being implemented in Nigeria by Plan Nigeria. Indeed, all the colleagues from Plan who connected today. And last but not least, the RTIA, Expertise France colleague, because really they gave us a very unique opportunity to have a project that is dedicated to teachers. So this is something that we never have. We always have big emergency projects where we have to do a little bit of an HPSS for children, education in emergency, remedial, accelerated education, a little bit of well-being for teachers, a little bit of capacity building for teachers. But here we are really responding to the needs of the frontline staff, which is very unique. And we really hope that in the future we will be able to do also a little bit more of research on the job that we are doing, so that we can do more advocacy and indeed more scale up. Thank you very much, and over to you and Toby.
Thank you, Toby. Your closing remarks.
Yes, thank you, everyone, and thank you to the INE, PSS, and Cell, working group for putting this together, and RTI for the funding. In Nigeria, we're very excited to implement a project that focuses on the teacher alone, as against most interventions that we have that is operated or is implemented through the lens of the learners, which is very valid, but then having to just focus on the well-being and also the capacity of the teacher is very important to us in Plan International Nigeria. We're happy about some of the outcomes that we are seeing, and we hope to scale it beyond the 3 local governments, but more local governments, because we believe this is something that is valuable for all teachers beyond even the crisis context in Nigeria, seeing that we're having more and more occurrences and a lot of teachers are under a lot of stress. We also look forward to seeing that some of this evidence that we are building from the intervention is going to be adapted at a national level, so that we see more impact and reform with our teachers. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining. Over to you, Esther. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. And I'll invite our teacher, Mwakapwa, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Yes, Mwakapwa Kade, please give us your closing remarks and what you'd want us to know about the teachers.
Thank you once again, Plan International Nigeria. Thank you for bringing this training to us. Thank you for all you've done to us as teachers in Nigeria. We are saying thank you very much. We've now known the value of a teacher. We've now known what it means to be a stress-free teacher, the importance of being a stress-free teacher. And that is really what is going to impact what a teacher gives to the students. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I see there's a comment that says it would be great to continue this webinar in a series focusing on teachers and teacher well-being as suggested by Manuel. And yes, I strongly support that. And I welcome my INI members and colleagues to please drop me an email, a WhatsApp, a call, and let me know how you'd want us to continue highlighting teacher well-being. I am passionate about teachers because I keep saying they cannot pour from what we do not give them. We expect them to pour so much, but what are we pouring into them? How are we supporting them for them to be able to support the learner and the education environment? So this is just the start of many. Thank you, RTIA, for supporting this webinar. Thank you, Plan. Thank you, teacher Mwakapwa, and thank you everyone for being here today. It has been an insightful and engaging session for all of us. Let's keep the conversation moving. The slides will be shared with you. The recording will be shared with you. And like I've mentioned, my email is always open. Feel free to reach out at any point in time. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye,
you,
everyone.
RTIA.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye, Plan. Thank
Bye,
you.
Esther. Thank
Bye, Esther.
Thank
Thank
you.
We'll be in
Thank you,
touch. Bye-bye.
colleagues. Thank you, all participants. Take care.